So, good morning, people. Today we have the fabulous Anna Black joining us from Lindores Abbey. Anna, say hello to the people.
Hello.
Anna will be sharing her journey from diversifying the farm into a great area with different experiences. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the experience? Your chance to give us a rundown.
Yeah, we have a diversified farm that we welcome guests to come and visit. We can stay in our luxury lodges, ride in our equestrian training centre, or eat and drink in our food venues, the Barley House and the Hyde.
So please like, share, subscribe, and do tune into this episode.
We are live. So welcome to the podcast, Anna.
Thank
Anna
you.
Black. Well done. You've travelled all the way down from Lindores, the village. And for anybody who doesn't know where that is, that's in Scotland.
North Fife.
North Fife, there you go, a good old Fifer. So we have you on, Anna, and really, we're just trying to get an understanding of what your business is all about, where it's came from, where the vision is, if there is another vision for it in the next 5 years. But just to put ourselves, or put our viewers, put it into context, what is it you actually do then?
Okay, thank you for having me today. So we are a third generation diversified farm in the north of Fife. So there's 550 acres and it's very much still a working farm producing cattle, sheep and barley, but we have diversified a lot and we now are able to welcome guests from all over to train at our equestrian training centre, Lindores Equestrian, or they're able to stay in our holiday houses. We've got luxury lodges, or they're able to come and enjoy our event spaces for food and drink experiences. And we operate in different markets. So whether you're a young kid with a fluffy pony, age 7, or you're a high net worth individual from America or Canada, and you're wanting to experience Scotland and all its greatness, we're welcoming lots of different markets.
So what brought that on with the diversifying? Was it just like farming? I know it's pretty difficult anyway, but is that what brought on, is just the need to try and do something else other than...
So it's actually my mother-in-law, Frankie Black. She diversified the farm in 1989. So
Right.
she took the first steps. And at that time, at the top of our hill, the land is good for crop production at the bottom, but there's LFA ground at the top. Now that's like less favourable area. If you ploughed it, you'd hit rock. You can't grow veg. Okay. So it's really only good for growing grass for animals to eat. But she wanted to do more, so she started building horse jumps. And so that was the first diversification in 1989. And things have just spiraled on from there. So she started to establish a community of equestrian customers. And then it was in 2014, my husband and I kind of finished university, and he really was wanting to, we kind of took on the business and wanted to make our own mark. And so what were we going to do? So we explored lots of different things, and it was really him that actually came up with building our first holiday house, because Johnny, you've been to the farm. It's got exceptional views. It's stunning.
Stunning views. Right over there, is it the River Tay?
Yeah,
right at the very top where the Hyde is.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And I get to look at that on the video that I took, and also the brochure that you've got. Cracking view.
I know. So you can watch us on TV, actually. So we were on, if you look at BBC iPlayer, if you go to Scotland's Greatest Escape, we were on the episode 5, the foodie episode last year. And it kind of brings it to life, where we were.
You also had thing on with Red Bull as well.
Yeah. So we kind of, part of our thing with our business is we collaborate loads. And it was Cut Media Production came to us because Danny MacAskill, who's sponsored by Red Bull, he wanted to do a stunt on a hay bale trick on the farm. So we adapted a hay bale, and he filmed for 4 days, and we pushed the hay bale down the hill, and he was basically riding the bike, trying to jump on the hay bale and jump off. Took him 4 days, 400 falls, but he did it. So you can watch that on YouTube. A wee day out was the hay bale trick. So yeah, that was
any broken bones on that?
No broken bones. He's so resilient. We got him back actually to race a horse. So that was quite fun. So we did another day filming with that.
What about when we went round the Land Rover? I mean, the Land Rover experience, I could see how great that is. So you've got the 3 Land Rovers on site. Yeah. And obviously when you can go around the tour, I mean, that bit where you're the LFA at the very top, diversifying that was incredible, and how big that area actually is, and the views are spectacular. So I think we were looking to try and rent out the space at some point for some of our networking that we're going to do later on. But when you're talking about collaboration, how much is that important to you in your business?
It's pivotal. So we actually are quite a small team. So we have 4 employees, but we work with local, I call them local heroes. So you would call them contractors, because we've obviously got our 4 luxury lodges, which guests come and stay in for holidays, but I do not want to be a hot tub holiday destination, and that's it. That's not enough. I want to create experiences. So after COVID, there was a chef called Andrew Wilkie approached me and asked if he could feed our holiday guests because he'd lost his wedding market overnight and he needed to pay his bills. Yep. So I said, brilliant. The restaurants are closed. Let's create this. We actually created supper boxes. So he started feeding the guests, and that was us initially collaborating to feed guests for the first time. And then at that time, we've got this beautiful spot on the farm overlooking the Tay. And we built this hide, and it's a cabin when we've adapted it. So it's got a chef's arm and a sommelier's arm. And I said, look, we've got this new space, no great business plan. I just know I want to make the most of people's holidays, let them enjoy the space on the farm and enjoy the view. What should we do? So again, through collaborating, chef menus evolved. He started hosting guests in the hide, cooking on the open fire, using the local scallops, using our Lindores lamb that we produce. And in conjunction with that, we work very closely with Lindores Abbey Distillery. So this is the second pivotal business that we collaborate with. They're just a mile away. Family owned. Helen and Drew Mackenzie Smith are the kind of founders. And we grow the barley that produces their whisky. So we're like a partner farm, the local farmers are. And it's a beautiful place because it's, for whisky lovers, it's a pilgrimage. King James IV in 1494 had asked the monks of Lindores to create aqua vitae, or 8 bowls of aqua vitae. So actually what it is, it's the first written reference to Scotch whisky ever in the world. Oh. So it was reinstated as a distillery and started producing in 2017. So my husband started collaborating with Drew on the barley supply that would be malted, because their ambition was to reinstate whisky the way that it was produced in 1494. So infusing it with the same botanicals and the same products and the same process. So fantastic business to work with, and it's basically snowballed from there. We collect the byproduct from the whisky production every day, so that's draff, and we feed that to our cows and sheep. We work with Helen, who is a sommelier, and she now pairs the bespoke menus that the chef creates with wines and whiskies. So the Americans the Canadians that we had yesterday, they had a fantastic 4-course meal with Eden Valley, like kind of prawns, and then they had Lindores lamb, and Helen had paired each course with Lindores Abbey Distillery whiskey and some lovely wines. So it's really, the collaboration is king, because we all have to have the same values and we all have to have the same ambition, that we want people to have a great experience at Lindores. We're showcasing kind of everybody's passion. So the chef's passion for food, that nobody can display that better than him. I'm not going to pretend to be a chef. Yeah. Helen's love of her kind of business and whiskey, and how they kind of embraced what they've kind of got and how they've brought that to the market. So it's really pulling together the local heroes and the talent to create experiences that no one else can.
That's brilliant.
So they're 2 key collaborators in our journey.
And it's good, I think, it's easy to get stuck in what you're doing. So farming's your thing, so you have to do farming constantly. So it's a great example of how you can diversify.
Work together.
Yeah, and I think the more businesses can think that way and just see what else they can do.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you never know, like COVID and times, whatever stuff happens, your industry can suffer. And if the business falls off and you don't have that anymore, then you're back to square one, more or less. But if you've got other things going, then it's the streams of income.
I like when we were going around the farm as well. You're saying you try not waste anything.
Yeah.
So we're coming back down the hill through the gate.
Yeah.
Was it the broccoli or the cat? It wasn't. The broccoli, and then you move it. I don't know farming. I just know there's, it's a farm. That's it. I think I get my food from there. But it's just really, the whole green, if you want to call it, just trying to make sure you don't waste anything. So how did that all come about? Is that just set in your ways, like from your mum and dad beforehand?
Yeah, so I think we're custodians of the land and we have no intentions of selling. So we've been blessed to have kind of been able to run it. But our ambition is to leave it in a better place than we found it and to pass it on to the next generation. So what do you do then? So our ambition is to kind of make the most of it, and it's got to be sustainable and it's got to support the rural economy. So with the enterprises that we've created on the farm, it's kind of increasing spend in the area and it's creating jobs. But you're talking about the low waste. Again, it's just, we're trying to be circular. So the chandelier in the farmhouse that you arrived at was circular. That represents our farm. It's made of barley. It's last year's crop. It's I love it. It's fantastic. And it's just this ability to try and, I don't know, for example, you mentioned the broccoli. So we have to have a farm that has crop rotation. So the biggest asset is the soil, and you've got to keep feeding it. You've got to keep its nutrients so that it produces food for all of you to eat in years to come. So the crop rotation, we had a field of rest. So we had, do you remember, we had phacelia, sunflowers and clover.
With a different colour you were talking about on the hill.
Stunning. So that again was just all about the habitat and the environment and getting nitrogen back into the soil. And then we came across the broccoli. So we rent that field out to another farmer. He has a vegetable production company. So he's grown his crop, but then we'll fence that off and we've got 1,000 head of sheep. So we'll bring the lambs, there'll be about 550 onto that field. They'll then eat everything that's left. So he's taken away what he needs for the supermarkets, and everything that's left, we'll feed that to the lambs. We'll fatten them up. And essentially, they're eating the draff, that's the waste product from the distillery. They're eating the grass on the land. They're finishing off with the broccoli, and then that's then ready, probably about 40 kilos to go to food production. And it's, it's just, that's an example of one of the things where it's kind of lowy,
I suppose
circular.
In farming, because I've got a couple of friends who've got quite large farms, so I understand all of those crop rotations and how important it is to look after your farm, but more importantly, the diversification, because farming is under pressure. Make no mistake about it. Your input costs are forever rising, but you might not be able to charge that type of money around it. But what made you go for hospitality? Because it's farming versus hospitality, it's like polar opposites.
Well, my background's even banking, so it's even more different. So yeah, my husband, he is definitely the farmer. My background was in banking, so I did a business degree at Edinburgh, and in banking, it was, you learn how to run a business. So I was the routes to market, taking products to market. So you learn the functions, whether it be the accounts, the kind of compliance, the product management, the marketing. We had worked with the risk department. And that actually is the basis of any business. Like it kind of, exactly. I kind of understood all the function of the business. And why hospitality? I think when I kind of came back from banking and we were trying to kind of make the most of the farm, as I said, we didn't want to just build luxury lodges and just stop there. We wanted to kind of create experiences and be very memorable and authentic. I don't know, we just wanted to be different and kind of do the best that we could. And off the back of the chef coming into work in the Hyde, he then introduced me to kind of essentially feeding people, which is not my background, but he kind of trained me up. Helen trained me up on working with the travel trade. So that's the international markets that we now welcome to the farm. And it's actually just through working and collaborating with people, a passion for doing new things and being the best that we can be, it led us into hospitality and tourism. So there was no grand plan, and it was high risk for us because we had to take our first loan to build the first house. So that would have been 2012 to 14 was kind of the bit of the planning and the building. So that was our first loan, and that was our first dip in the water. And I remember speaking to Visit Scotland, and they said, "Oh, you're in the wrong part of Fife. You know, you'll only get 51% occupancy." And we were thinking, "Oh God, should we do this?" But we were like, "No, let's be confident and do it." And Richard and I we've both been on the Scottish Enterprise Rural Leadership Programme, so we're really kind of keen on improving our own skill set. And I've also been on kind of the Emerging Leaders Programme with the Oxford Farming group. And so we're always kind of looking at what other businesses are doing and trying to learn and improve. And that's just the path that we've led.
I definitely like whether it's intentional or unintentional. Definitely like your strategy, because you're not restricting yourself to one sort of demographic, and you're learning from different businesses, which is important, because when you go through all these, if you go to Harvard Business School, they'll tell you that when Apple learned to launch the iPhone, they didn't go talk to Rolex and Tag. It wasn't their market. Their market is high-end people like Louis Vuitton. So understanding your customer demographic. And the reason why I tell you that is because I'll tell you only get 51% of the market because you're North Fife. That's not it. If you create a destination venue and you market it properly and it is sufficient enough, and I suppose if you've got a good value proposition, and I think that's the big thing, is if you've got a good value proposition, people will come and people will spend money. Tourist market is obviously massive in Scotland, especially under Americans and Canadians. They all want to come. So that's absolutely fantastic.
I've really, really tried to remain accessible.
So no visitor levy, because I see that's a big thing at the moment.
No, I'm meaning in terms of building products that are accessible to different markets. So I am so keen on the locals coming to use the hide and the barley house. So how do I do that when we're really only offering it one lunch a day? So most restaurants would think, well, one cover, that is not financially viable. But actually, we've constructed the business that it is. So, for example, if guests want to create their own experience and have this off-grid lunch, cooking on the fire, overlooking the longest river in Scotland, having exclusive use all to themselves, then they can hire out the venue themselves and then bring their own food and drink. Or if they want the chef to create the food and it's there for their arrival, that's an option. And then, or if they want to have the chef hosting, the chef creating the bespoke menu, having the sommelier pairing the wines. So you've got different price points, making it accessible for the locals who want to celebrate a nice birthday or an anniversary, which is quite often what they are doing. Or if you're wanting people from Holland coming to tick the bucket list to see Highland cows, get behind the Scottish culture, meet the local people, see the countryside views, and taste the local food and drink.
I must say, when I travelled up there, you know, you've got an idea in your head what it's going to look like. It blew me out of the water. Because, again, I would love for you guys to see us, because then the context of it, you'll just realise what it's like. Because for anybody that's listening, anybody that's watching us on YouTube, when you're going in there, you've got the barn area first, where you can set up, is it 26, maybe even more?
Just under, actually.
Just under that.
It's the original farmhouse built in the 1830s. It's been adapted and it can really sit up to 24.
Right. Yeah. That great, the kitchen at the side of it, it's just a lovely area. You've got the car parking facilities, but it still feels like it is still rural because it's off the beaten track a bit.
Yeah.
But you're still close as well.
Yeah.
Then when we went to the question set, that looked so neat and tidy, because I've been to some of them, and some of them are a bit shitholes, right? Excuse my language, but that's what it is. But it looked so clean, so tidy. And then when you had the area for the people riding the horses, the barn area and the toilet block that was all clean, tidy, like it was honestly stunning. Yeah, absolutely stunning what you have done with it.
Someone said to me the other day, they were like, when you do something, you do it right. And I was like, oh, that's really lovely feedback. It was really great. And I think the last 2 years, we develop over the winters when it's quieter from the customers, the equestrian market, they're March to October. So yeah, last winter, we kind of redeveloped the bothy, which is a space that the predominantly the equestrian riders use for camps. We'll host camps between March to October for up to 36 horses at a time. So the riders bring their own horses and they'll train across the 6 disciplines and the facilities that we've got. But yeah, we upgraded the toilets and showers, and do you know what? It's like everybody needs the loo. So it's like, you're going to do it properly. So we've got an awesome sheep trough, and we've got really nice tiles, and it's good quality. I like good quality finish, which for an equestrian centre is very rare. And yeah, the barley house was again the development from the year prior. So it's fairly new, but I was very nervous spending the money on that development, working with the architect and the concepts. It was going to cost a lot. And actually we reined in the project because we didn't want to take such a risk. We just, the year prior, built bonded warehousing, which again, off the back of the collaborations with the distillery, was a big investment for us, but has been a great move. So yeah, I think you're right. I think we take real pride in place, and we want it to be smart and tidy. So we've got a fantastic team that Katie, who manages the enterprises, Becky, her assistant, Aaron, who's out farm maintenance, and Caroline, a cleaner for 13 years. We all know our jobs, and we all get on with it, and we're very proud of the place.
I generally take my hat, I was blown away with it. And I think there's two questions to this, because I met you through networking. So the important side of networking, because you don't know who's going to be in the room and who makes a step forward. So there's that. I was going to talk about how important networking, but then also managing the debt. So a lot of people out there are worried they need to have the money first before they do it. But you've obviously, Richard, sorry, I was looking at my notes. I was going to say Andrew there.
No, married Andrew.
But having that determination and that passion, that drive, even though it is scary, the first lot of money that you took on to build the first house, it is a scary thing.
It felt like a lot of the time, yeah.
But
actually, looking back, I was like, "There's pennies. You can't build a house with that now." Wish we'd done more.
Exactly.
But you just do. You live within your means, and I think there's this funny thing, because we've been passed down the farm. You never want to be the generation that loses it.
Right.
And so everything is kind of double checked, and it got to a point actually where it's 2021, where it was actually just me and Richard. And Aaron, the farm worker, and the cleaner, Caroline, running everything. And was I still working in the bank? No, I think I'd left the bank by that point. But we were working long, long hours. But we felt we didn't have the courage to bring in a manager. So we're still just doing everything ourselves. And we didn't even have an office. It was in the house next to our bedroom. And so it's like, you can't employ somebody and then expect them to work in the house. And, the kids were young and playing kind of fart music on Alexa. It just felt really unprofessional. But it was a proper business, and we needed more resource. So we actually got a consultant in to help us, because we were about to potentially buy more land, build the bonded warehouses. So we're looking at taking on about £1.5 million worth of kind of spend, and we needed to kind of borrow as well. So we were like, right, we need to just see if we could actually get more resource. And so we did a lot of planning and forecasts, and took the plunge to employ someone and manager to help, and it was the best decision we made. And actually all these ideas that they won't have the same passion, a care, like attention to detail, we won't be able to afford them, they won't want to stay and work in the farmhouse. It was all nonsense, and actually it was the best move we made, because it freed up our time to kind of look forward. And working in the farmhouse, the manager, Vicky, at the time, she got completely under the skin of the brand and our values. And then she embodied what we live for, in terms of the customer's kind of always right. Treat people how you want to be treated yourselves. And we just continued that kind of culture of trying the best we can and create great experiences. So, that's kind of, I can't remember what the question was. I'm waffled on with it.
It's a lot of pressures. Yeah. It will stop a lot of people not going forward with some of the plans they have. But I think one of the things to take is the amount of research, or at least you've looked at the numbers and the forecasts, and you've really felt comfortable enough at that point to go forward with it. And I think that's what, if you're looking to expand and diversify, that's one of the things you need to do, is make sure the numbers are right. and the culture seems amazing. So that's obviously important. If you get in the wrong people in, then it can cause a lot of problems. But you sound like
we've
you've
got a
got
really
that
good
right as
team.
well. Yeah.
Like Katie, the manager, she just embodies the brand, and she's a great asset. And then, Becky,
Brilliant.
Caroline, Aaron, they're all great.
I'm going to have to definitely take a little trip up, eh?
I suppose it's two things from my side is debt is good. Everybody's like, I know so many guys who go, no, I don't want any debt in my business. I get it.
I think it focuses your mind.
Yeah, but you focus on the wrong thing, okay? Because the bank, so why does the bank give you a mortgage? Because they need to be able to see if they can trust you with paying back the money, and the house is the asset. Banks work exactly the same for your business. If you want to grow, there is a time where you're going to have to go out and get some money. And if the bank sees that they can trust you and you can pay it back, okay? And it's all about risk management for me. It's what can go wrong. Yeah, there's a downturn and I have to pay back that money. So if you understand your numbers and you understand where it's going to, that is actually a good thing. It depends on your appetite. It depends on things like big words like gearing. What is your ratio for debt to assets? But you're right. You don't want to be the generation known to let the farm go. So I think a lot of time and effort goes into numbers. Numbers are absolutely critical because it drives any decision you have in a business. It's the data behind it. More important is that culture that you talk about, because that is something that you cannot buy. Mm-hmm. I promise you. So that is, as your business grows, that is probably one of the first things that go. If you're not careful with getting people in that believe the same things as you do, they stand for the same things as you. And I'm going to hazard a guess, they do things that you don't even ask them to do. They go above and beyond. You don't have to ask them. And I think that's the utopia. We always talk about what does a good employee look like? And it's so difficult to find people in this day and age. And there's a myriad of reasons for that. But that is a massive, massive credit to you guys in creating that culture, because it's your business, your culture. You need to drive it. You need to live it. You need to show up like that. And I think they take inspiration from both you and from Richard and say, this is the way we do things. No half measures. When we talk about the facilities at the equestrian estate, that type of thing, you don't get that. So that is a massive, massive accolade. And I think for any business starting up, those are two valuable lessons to learn from you, is that if it's your culture, you need to set it, you need to live it. But the people that you bring in, they need to be able to see it. They need to be able to embrace it. Because if they don't, like Michael said, you're going to have lots of issues around it. So fortune favors the prepared. So we're not going to say that you were lucky. You were very, very prepared for that, because you did take that first step in employing that first resource. And that is scary, because you never know if it's going to work out.
It's always scary.
You worry about, are we going to have enough money to pay this person at the end of the month?
Can we get enough people in here to book it? Can we do this? But can I just say something?
Yeah.
And I think this is relative to any people in business. You can go to university, you can go to college and learn the foundations of a business, all the tax implications, but nothing teaches you better than just going 2 feet in and doing it, because you discover what you're actually made of. And it seems like you and Richard are made of good substance. Genuinely, and it's not to blow smoke up your arse. It's generally, when I see the place, and I'm my Achilles heel is I tell the truth, and sometimes it puts me to trouble. But I loved it. And I take my hat off to you because you've just kept developing for what I see, and then going down to the bonded warehouse as well. I looked at that, I even said to the guys this morning, I went, that would have been cost a packet. And, these guys that are signing up for that, they could have pulled the plug on you. Mm-hmm. And then you would have to pivot again. And even though having all that debt there. So I take my hat off to anybody in business. It goes with full steam and keeps going. What
I do like about what you've been talking about is I'm a big believer in customer journey, customer experience. So I always put myself in the shoes of a customer. How would a customer feel if that does? And by the sounds of what you've been discussing is that you guys have got that customer journey and that customer experience down to a T. The way you've got
There's always room for improvement, I'm sure.
Of course there is. But I think that the majority, 95% of your customers will probably be raving about the facilities or the experience, because you're right. It's a farm, but you sell an experience. That's what people buy. They buy an experience into that. An experience creates memories that lasts a lifetime. Yeah. So if you can get that part right, it's like when you check into a hotel. If you check into the hotel and they say your room is ready at 1 and you get there and your room's not ready, already puts a bad thing. Or you get to your room, the bed's not made. It's never ever big things. It's the little things, the attention to detail. And it seems that the detail is there. You guys have got the detail right. So again, that's coming from Johnny, because his Achilles heel is he tells the truth as it is, unfiltered. because I do think, we don't have enough of that. So it's obviously how he tells it. As you can see, it's in a nice, kind, caring way.
So I feel like I'm welling up here.
Tearing a glass eye. But it is that whole journey you go on, from starting it. I mean, you're an overnight success story, 12 years in the making.
I don't think that's a big claim. No, we're just on our own path and we're just enjoying it. And I think we're very lucky that there's also great enterprises in the area, and it's just being open to collaborating with them, and it's the sum of all parts that really.
So key message: never be afraid to collaborate, because you never know where opportunity is going to come from.
100%.
Because if you see everybody as a competitor, and 0% of nothing is still nothing. 10% of something is at least something, whatever that may mean.
You definitely need to take something from the fact that you've looked at it. Excuse me, in the first place. It's easy to go, it kind of just happens, and things have worked out because of X, Y, Z, but you've been open to the opportunity, so tip my hat to you.
I've got a question for
I've
you.
got a quick one first, but what's next?
Me.
What's next? Have you got anything in the plans next, or are you kind of settling now? And
So there was quite a big investment. We built bonded warehousing, so the casks started arriving last July, August, and the sheds are half full. So there's 7,500 casks that Spirit filled. They've taken the long-term lease. Have now got, so the potentially building 2 more with a tasting room and a bottling plant, maybe. So we would be potentially building the structure, but then Spirit filled or a bonded warehousing company taking on the long-term lease. So that would be quite a significant investment. But really just welcoming more guests to our event spaces. So we've only really in the last few years gone into kind of hosting food and drink experiences, and the corporate markets have been coming, and we've really enjoyed welcoming them. So we're only an hour from Edinburgh, and so again we collaborate with other companies to provide Highland Games. So team building exercises is kind of a common theme. So just welcoming more markets to come and use the spaces, whether they're families celebrating a birthday, if they're tour operators or DMCs, or just want to welcome people to come in and see the space and enjoy it. And there's no boundaries, so if someone has an idea, we're open to exploring.
Definitely. Well, I've got another question for you. So when we're all in business, we're hustling, we're doing our thing, we're trying to get money in, we're trying to build our brand. But the one thing that we do forget is to take time off. Now, I'm laughing because I was just 24/7. And it wasn't until I was around the right people that started giving me a bit of an education, no one's going to die. Well, they are, eventually. But how do you find, like you and Richard, getting some time off? Can you manage that quite well, or is that still a bit difficult?
No, we can now, because Katie, our manager, is so capable and able. So she's 3 years in and has been through, full years, because every season is different on the farm. We actually have shooting in the winter as well, which we've not even covered. But so you have to be working with us definitely more than a year to see all the different cycles of the enterprise. But that's 3 years in. So actually now we can go on holiday and I divert my mobile phone. Everyone who phones, who gets Katie, whether it's mum, friends, work.
Yeah.
And that is our way of switching off. Yeah. So we now can go away with our kids and have proper holidays, and it's a real treat. I'm very appreciative of it.
So this is generational. So farming is generational. It gets passed from generation to generation to generation. So the second generation after you, are they expressing interest in farming? Because I've got some friends who've got massive farms and none of their kids want to be farmers. They're like, no, it's all. But or is it still early days?
It is early days. It's hard to tell. My son's 10, my daughter's 13, and we're not going to force them into taking it on. Obviously, we'd love it if they did. My son certainly is keen, and he gets stuck in, and likes that way of life. So it might happen, and hopefully it does. But one thing I've learned is that I'm from a farming background, and we had to work a lot on the farm. And then in every summer holidays in between uni, we'd have work, jobs. So we've done all sorts of things. And just all those different positions and the different industries I've just learned so much. So, and having bad bosses, that's a good thing because you learn what not to do.
Well, exactly, yeah.
And so I would not let my kids come straight home. They have to go away. They have to go and experience the world. They have to go and work in other countries. Because I think it's so important because it gives you a kind of a broader outlook of kind of what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad. And just seeing other things, that's kind of brings idea to the table. So I would be keen that they wouldn't just come straight
A lot
home.
more tolerance as well.
I think that is an important, that is a really, really important statement that you just made there, because very often when you have got family generational businesses, it's like an automatic shoe in. I don't really have to work because my dad owns the business. I could just step into it. That is sort of the norm in businesses. I buy it from my dad. And they did a study with billionaires, and they all these trust fund kids, and the kids, eventually the feedback was, we'd rather our parents show us how to make the money than just give us those trust funds. So I think it's a good strategy to have to send your kids off into the wild world. We did that with both our kids. And you know what? They came back with much better equipped to handle life, to deal with things differently, to start thinking outside the box, to bring things back into perspective. So that's really it's an interesting one, because watch this space, because I'm always interested in farming to see that generational shift. Yeah. My uncle is a farmer, my cousin, when he went to farming school. And I remember the first time he came to the farm, he wanted to harvest, and it was completely different to where my uncle was harvesting. And he's like, it's going to kill all the trees. We're not going to have any crop. And he goes, I've studied for this. And it's that shift letting go in time to come.
Farming, it's really, it's tricky because some generations, older generations, won't let go of the reins. And actually, we were so lucky. Mr. and Mrs. B let us take over in 2012. And if we ever came up with an idea, they would say, how will you do that? They never said no. And they've been pivotal in the success, because we've got friends whose parents have never really let go, and it's kind of really restricted them. But every farm's different. It's all kind of, it's not an easy one.
It's by no means. Everybody thinks farming is easy. Everybody thinks hospitality is easy. Perspective.
So I think working with your in-laws and not against them is a win. Because, they've been pivotal in the success. Mr. B actually works every day on the farm, and his ethos is to, he just wants everyone to be happy. And that kind of outlook on life is so pivotal at Lindores, because the customers, when they come and visit, when they're chatting at the farm, and he's just happy chatting to them, and he has time for them, and he is happy to help them if they've got a query. And I mean, that's gold, absolute gold. And he's just a superstar. And then Frankie's always been there as a support network. She set up the equestrian business initially, and then kind of wanted to kind of give that up. So I took over when I was still in the banking and did it at nights and things. But she's been key for bringing up, kind of helping with the kids, because they needed looked after a lot. 100%. So she's been key kind of support network there. So farming and succession is very tricky, but if you can kind of communicate, then you're halfway there.
We'll definitely sing your praises through this podcast and our own businesses, 100%. And when you go, Michael,
well, just where people can find you.
How do people find you?
Yeah, so we've got lindores.co.uk. That's kind of our main website, where you'll find our luxury lodges and the Hyde and the Barley House, and our farm tours. And we have social media handles. So they're at Lindores Stay on Facebook and Instagram. And then if you're a horse rider and you're interested in our equestrian business, we also have another website called lindoresxe.co.uk. and Lindores Equestrian.
And what if you're a shooter of? Because it's interesting, because we never touched on it, but hunting, or you say shooting.
Yeah.
Is that what do you shoot? Is it like
South
bears?
African in them.
Yeah. So I'm like, is it lions? Is it bears? I know it's not, but what?
So again, that's all about collaboration. So we actually don't run the shoots. Jamie Horn is the gamekeeper, and he runs shoots at Lindores and also Glen Eagles.
Okay.
So if you get in contact with us, we'll share his details. But we can help coordinate the day, and we can do the food and drink experiences if you were wanting to
Do something
clays,
different. Yeah.
clay pigeon shooting, or driven pheasant days as
Okay.
well. And, so yeah, we can help you if you get in touch. We can create something.
Well,
Tremendous.
I would just say thank you very much for getting up early, coming here and telling all of us about it and our listeners. And hopefully we get something more for you. I'm sure we will.
We'll definitely come up. We'll just finish with our tagline, which is quite...
This is your world.
Shape it.
Or someone else will.